Hey YouTube, Flowcat here. I don't know if you guys have read or seen or heard, but Hoyoverse just dropped the patch notes for 3.0, and there are some juicy details in here that I really want to go over. I'm very excited for this patch to drop in the next couple days. I can't wait. I'm at the edge of my seat. There were some super juicy details in this, so let's go look at these patch notes. I hope you're all excited as much as I am. Okay, stuff, right? Like, yep, Primo gems, cool. And then they did this thing where we got like cool little preview cards, right? So this is gonna be like our Sakura tree right here, called the Tree of Dreams, Vanarana. Looks like we're gonna get Fragiles, Adventure EXP, so for me, more, you know, like just basic rewards. Maybe we'll get a billet or something in there, who knows? Then, you know, the banner, characters, reactions, and then they showed a little bit of previews of the domains, which look gorgeous. I'm very excited to see the insides of those. And then these appear to be like the overworld domains, like the ones that you do like once, and then you just get some rewards, some like primos from them. The new bow, oh, I gotta get this bow, guys. It looks so pretty. That picture doesn't do it justice. And the new craftables, which I still have no idea what they do. 2 new artifacts, and we're like speeding through because this is stuff that we already knew is coming, right? So like, I'm just kind of showing what they showed here, and then we're gonna get to the juicy details here in a second. We've got the new story, and what's really interesting about this is normally you have to do some stuff to get the character, but they mentioned in the live stream that pretty much doing the quest is going to give us Calais. So you don't have to like do a whole bunch of stuff and wait a whole long time to get her. Like, I think it's pretty much going to be like Amber. Like, you do a quest, you get Calais. So that's really cool. Archon quest, Tainari's story quest, the new bosses. Now, I didn't notice this. I knew we had a new T-Rex guy coming, but this one's got wings. So we'll see about that. Dendrospecters, gotta love to hate them. The new human enemies have really cool designs. They look pretty cool. So I'm excited to fight those, see what their skill sets are like. Now we're gonna get into the notes, the specific notes. And what I want to mention before we read any of this is if you guys don't read the patch notes, I would really recommend it. Sometimes they put stuff in here that they just do not mention in the live stream. Like, it's not big enough for like a lot of the quality of life stuff. They used to show some of it in the live stream, but then like they could only show a couple things due to time restraints. And so like they just kind of stopped talking about quality of life during the live stream. And now they just mostly put it in the patch notes. I mean, there are even things that they update that they don't really talk about, but I recommend you read these, because when I went through this the first time, I was freaking out. Okay. All right. So this stuff up here, basically they're making it easier to defeat Dvalin, which is cool. I think it says that they optimized the judgment condition. So I think basically the AI, they just made Raiden's AI better. Adjust the part of the floating fungi's behavior. I mean, that's stuff that we don't even have yet. And then some animation effects for slimes. So I'm guessing they're gonna have like maybe some new effects or attacks or something now that the element is actually out. All right, and this is where it gets huge, guys. This is where it gets huge. System increases the number of party compositions that can be preset in the party setup menu to 10. In addition, access to configure your team has been added to the party setup menu. Travelers can use various shortcuts to disband existing party setups, etc. So basically, we can have 10 parties now, which, as someone who does team building, this is monumental. This is just, I'm so happy with this. And then it looks like they're making the UI maybe a little easier, because sometimes it can be really annoying to kind of fiddle with your setups, especially if you're not used to it. Increases the friend limit from 45 to 60. This is huge, but also like, why only 15? I don't understand this. Like, they increased it to 10. Like, from 4 to 10 It's more than twice as much. Like, that's a big increase, right? And then for the friend limit, they went from 45 to 60. Like, I'm happy, but 15? I mean, why not 600? I don't understand the reasoning, but I am happy that at least that is going up. Maybe they can just increase it more in the future. That would be great. Adds a function to show where 5 stars come from. No one cares about that. Some other stuff. Optimizes the wish details and wish history menu layouts. I don't know what that means, but they're updating the details and history section. So maybe a pity counter. Please be a pity counter, please. And so now this is huge. You can now affect and adjust the camera sensitivity for aim shot mode. So like archers on PC, PS5, PS4, mobile, all that stuff. And this is massive, especially for console players. Being able to edit this camera sensitivity, I mean, I'm gonna use this too because it's just very helpful. And then some other stuff here that, you know, is not really all that important, except for this thing. The cooldown of interaction in certain gameplay modes is now suspended when the game is blah blah blah. I think this is referring to the bounties, because like I don't know if anyone's ever done this, but if you pause in single player when you're in the bounty zone, when it's got the 10-minute timer, it's ticking down. It'll keep ticking down even if you've paused the game. So maybe it's just a fix for that. So some audio stuff. They're adding a low HP voice line to other people. So like if you're low HP, your party members will call out that you're low HP. That's cool. I think that's neat. That's good for group play. Adds a little bit of immersion. Add a sound effect when characters defeat an enemy or inflict a crit hit. I want to know what this is, because we're going to hear this a lot. Okay. If every time I crit or every time I kill an enemy, I'm going to hear some noise now. Added sound effects, like multiple, right? Like what is this? What is it? I don't know, but that would be cool. Like an audio indicator of crit would be really nice, because sometimes when you're playing, especially characters with fast attack speeds, like Raiden or Ito or Ayato, when you're just doing a bunch of charge attacks or normal attacks or whatever you're doing, it's really hard to see if you're critting all the time. Optimizes the sound effects of characters when moving and in combat. I mean, like, okay, I don't know what that means, but okay. Adjust the dynamic sound effects. Okay. We again don't really know what that means. And then some more stuff that we don't really know what it means, but like just optimizations. They're always really good with sound design and music and stuff. So like, you know, it's fine. Like it's all good. Elemental resonance. This is huge. I know I keep going from one thing to another and I'm like, this is massive, but like seriously. Okay, so Dendro resonance. Increase elemental mastery by 50, and after triggering burning, quicken, bloom, you gain 30 EM for 6 seconds, and after triggering aggravate, spread, hyperbloom, or burgeon, you gain 20 for 6 seconds. So let me just, and then the durations of the aforementioned effects will be counted independently. If you trigger bloom and then trigger spread, it does not reset the cooldown or reset the duration on the first one, right? Okay, so how does this work? Dendro has primary reactions and secondary reactions. So you get 50 elemental mastery for 2 Dendro units. And then if you trigger one of the primary reactions, which is burning, quicken, bloom, which is just hitting Dendro with something, you get 30 EM, boom. And then when you trigger one of the sub reactions, like hitting one of the little Dendro seeds with an element, or you know, hitting someone who has the quicken, like the electro Dendro thing going on with Dendro or electro, which is really easy to do. All of those are really easy to do. You get another 20. So it's essentially, if you're really using a lot of reactions, 100 elemental mastery, which is it's actually a big number for a resonance. Like this is kind of huge. This is going to be really useful for reaction comps. I'm kind of interested to see how this plays in. Now for non-Dendro comps, like if you're thinking about Kazuha and stuff like that, this is going to seem like a bait. Like, oh, I get 100 EM for my Kazuha or my, you know, whoever else. Yes, but also be careful. Dendro and Anemo do not always play super well together in a team, as far as it seems. They do not interact together. So even though your Kazuha gets 100 EM, your Kazuha can't shred Dendro and cannot buff Dendro, as far as we know. So that's just something I wanted to say there. I know everyone's going to see the EM and they immediately think of Kazuha, but like it's really not going to be useful for Kazuha. It's going to be useful for a lot of Electro units, and it's going to be useful for a lot of Dendro units. I have a feeling that like double Dendro, double Electro is going to be really good, and we're going to discuss that more in a second. Hydro Resonance is changed to increase max HP by 25%. This is huge. Yelan buff, Kokomi buff, Toma buff, Kuki buff, Hu Tao buff, Ayato buff, Diona buff, Zhongli buff. So many buffs. Okay, like this buffs so many characters. I'm so excited for this. Everyone's been asking for this for a long time because Hydro Resonance is like just the most useless thing in the entire world. No one needs more healing. I love this. Like, big shout out to them for this. And then Electro Resonance High Voltage is adjusted to, basically they added the Dendro reactions, and you have a 100% chance to generate an elemental particle every 5 seconds. Still just an electro particle, but you know, now that it works with Dendro, this is what I was talking about. If you have Dendro Resonance and Electro Resonance, you're gonna have a lot of ER coming in, a lot of energy coming in. You're gonna have a lot of Elemental Mastery. I think this will allow those units to focus more on stats like attack and other things, instead of having to focus as much on like energy recharge and Elemental Mastery, like those secondary stats. You can, you know, maybe balance your stats a little better with these units put together. Also, they're going to be buffing each other because Dendro and Electro buff each other. Super excited to test out those Electro buffs. And then other, okay, which is just like, oh, okay. Now we've got like the Dendro stuff coming into the game. Basically, they're discussing like Dendro drops happen. Now this is interesting. Adds Dendro damage bonus to the primary attribute of the Goblet of Eonotham artifact. Now, due to the addition of this attribute to the Goblet, the percentage of getting primary attributes, defense, HP, and attack will be reduced, while the percentage of getting other primary attributes will not change. So that was a lot of wordings, but basically, I think what they're saying is that for the Goblet of, I can't say this, Eonotham,
Aonotham.
Bruh.
like I think this is the Goblet specifically for the Dendro set, in the Dendro domain. It will have a high likelihood to drop Dendro damage bonus. You don't even have to hunt for it with your strong box. Like, that's huge. That's huge, huge, huge. Okay, I know I just said huge like a million times, but bear with me. Okay, now they're removing the Liyue stuff and adding the Sumeru stuff to the battle pass, so it'll be Sumeru in the Zuma books in the battle pass, which like I think they should just redo the battle pass, all of it, because it's really not that great. For long-term players, the value is just not there anymore, really, like for a lot of people, and it's an easy skip once you have a lot of characters built, because it doesn't give you that many primos, it doesn't give you that many wishes, it doesn't, like the weapons, once you have a lot of them, like what, am I gonna R5 every battle pass weapon? Like, I don't know about that. Adds 10 types of artifacts, so we know that any artifact that was 1.2 and prior is now in the strong box. This is massive. I recommend everyone to never spend resin ever again on any domain that is in the strong box. If it's in the strong box, do not spend your resin on it. Spend your resin on a domain that's not in the strong box, and then obviously use the strong box. Okay. Now this is another one that's really interesting, and I'm super excited to test this out because they've tried to fix this before and it did not work. Now, optimizes the experience of moving through complex terrain with the following characters: Ayaka, Sayu, Mona, Yelan, Fischl, Yaimiko with her skill. Yeah, so basically they've tried, when Ayaka came out, they tried to fix the whole like Mona, Ayaka getting stuck on stuff thing, and they did sort of, they made it better, but you can still get stuck very easily in the game with all of these characters. Especially I've been noticing it using Yelan a lot. Her skill, like, you know, I zip it around and I get stuck on a rock and you got to kind of go around the rock and it's really awkward. So if they actually fix this, that's gonna be great. It's gonna be great for the game. They can make more, like, I feel like they've been kind of holding off on characters with movement skills. They've gotten mixed reviews because of these issues, right? Like a lot of these characters people will say, you know, Mona's great, but her dash is kind of annoying. Same with Ayaka. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see that. All right, and there's some stuff that we don't really understand because we don't have stuff yet. This is interesting. Adjust the pull range of the adjust the range of the pull effect on objects in the vertical direction to twice the horizontal range. So this is for Animo units. Essentially, the vertical pull, the range of their vertical pull will be twice their horizontal range. So for like Kazuha, his domain expansion, the vertical range of it will be twice the horizontal, which is pretty large actually. That's a general buff to vertical CC, which may lead me to believe that we're gonna have enemies that you know, like sometimes specters can kind of float up quite high. We may have enemies that do that, like these ruin guys, the T-Rex guys, and then we have the one floaty ruin guys. I know that you can't CC them, but I don't know, maybe we'll have some smaller enemies that will also float up very high in the air. We'll have to see about that. And yeah, that's pretty much the end of it. Now I just, you know, maybe not the most game changing stuff in the entire world, but if you play Genshin all the time, some of these changes can be massive. Like for me personally, the 10 party setup thing is, I was like so excited for Dendro, but also only having 4 party slots and being a team builder, it's like I have my favorites in 3 of my slots, and then I have 1 slot for experimentation, and it's just very limiting. Because if you want to try out different variations of comps or change members around very quickly, it's just clunky. It's just clunky. I'm very excited to see them working on that. There's so many things that I'm excited to test. The new Dendro reactions, the Electro buff that they're getting. I can't. This is where I return to the impatience of like having no idea what to do or say because Sumeru isn't here yet, and like that's what I want. Like that's what I'm waiting for, you know? Okay, so I was napping before this. I think I may go hibernate some more until Sumeru is even closer to launching. If you watched all the way to the end, thank you very much. I would love it if you would subscribe, like, comment, all that great stuff. What are you excited for in Sumeru? And is there anything on these patch notes that intrigues you? Any information that you have that you would like to give, or something I didn't say or think of? That would be great to contribute. I have a Discord community, very friendly, awesome stuff, good things. The link is in the description if you would like to join. And as always, stay healthy, stay hydrated. Peace.